welcome to Class Dismissed, brought to you by Freedom Project Academy. I am Katie, and I'm joined by Dave, Jim, and Lindsay. Now we're going to get right into it with our first headline, which reads, New bill would require middle high school students read 2 full books.
Wow.
Per semester. And again, any one of us, because we're all born prior to those 2000s. We're back in the 1900s time frame.
The dark ages.
we remember that being just another school year of English class.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
we read probably
What did they do if they're not
5,
reading?
6, 7 books per year, but
No, you
not.
didn't.
I did, and yet here we are having a headline which is saying that there's a bill being floated out there which would then require, which just makes that assumption that students are not reading 2 full books per semester at present, and we actually all know that is true. But let's take a look at how bad it really is getting out there.
There are definitely many signs that schools are making choices to decrease the amount of books that are being taught, particularly at the high school English level. But this issue also crosses elementary and middle school classrooms. In fact, the 2 most popular curricula in many of the US states are programs, Wonders and Into Reading, that actually include no books once we get kids into those chapter book grades, 3rd grade, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, where you'd expect to have whole books in classrooms. So the popularity of these programs and the fact that these practices are continuing into high schools in many U.S. schools definitely warrant some conversation. This is, in fact, a shift that a few years ago, surveys are definitely showing that if 4 books was a typical number of books to be experiencing in high school English language arts, now we're seeing many schools reporting that kids are experiencing only 1, even 2 books in high school ELA. So something's going amiss.
Yikes.
Wow.
1, maybe 2 in the whole school year. Now, that is in stark contrast to what happens at Freedom Project Academy. Gentlemen, what kind of books are we reading at FPA?
Well, ironically, our norm at grade 3, mind you, these kids are able to read at grade 3, so they're starting to read chapter books, and they'll read 3 or 4 of them in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. That's not unusual, uncommon, sometimes 5. And by the time they get to junior high and high school, it's more like 5 or 6 a year. And that includes all genres, not just novels, but plays, full-length plays like Shakespeare, Hamlet, Beowulf, classic literature like that. And so Fahrenheit 451 is one of the books on our list at the high school level. And one of the citations in this legislation was actually of the author Ray Bradbury, who commented, "You don't have to burn books, as he alludes to in Fahrenheit 451, to destroy a culture. Just get people to stop reading them." Profound, right? That's kind of the situation that we're at right now. We're reading excerpts. This screenager generation can no longer attend cover to cover to read a book from beginning to end. I think in part because it's attention span or lack thereof, or they don't even understand what they're reading because the skill level and literacy has gotten to such a low level.
Did you call them screenagers?
Screenagers.
That's a great term.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I really like that
Nice.
term.
I like that.
I find it just amazing that it's just 2 books a semester.
Just 2.
And as Principal Harper was saying, I was thinking to our English 2 class, my favorite one, because it's Romeo and Juliet, and then it's all the American classics. Red Badge of Courage, Scarlet Letter, Old Man in the Sea, Fahrenheit 451. They're reading all of those in one class for the entire year, right?
And Huck Finn.
And Huck Finn. Thank you. Forgot Huck Finn. So it's amazing to me that it's gotten to this point where they have to create, it is the Books Act to have this, to change anything.
So let's talk a little bit about this. This is put out by Ethics and Public Policy Center, and basically it's model legislation that they put forth. Books Act, it's an acronym standing for Books Optimize Our Kids' Schools. And
Catchy.
I like it.
Stanley Kurtz is one of the ones behind it, and if you know anything about Stanley Kurtz, him and Mark Bauerlein, they are all about K-12 education. What does it look like? What is the policy? And how basically bad it has been. So they put out this model legislation, and as you alluded to, they began it by saying, whereas, and they would put famous authors and then quotes from them. So whereas Frederick Douglass, which my students have read this year, The Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, said, once you learn to read, you will be forever free. And where's Ray Bradbury, as you said? Whereas Abraham Lincoln, who's that guy, said, I feel the need of reading. It is a loss to a man not to have grown up among books. And then I'll stop with, whereas Henry David Thoreau said, read the best books first, or you may not have a chance to read them at all. And that's what we are doing here at Freedom
Yeah.
Project Academy, is putting out the best books for the students to basically feed from.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put forth quality literature, that's going to inspire the love of reading, not whatever is the now that
I'll
the
go out
kids
and say
are
it.
loving, the graphic novels or
Yeah, the
whatever it may
greatest
be.
young adult fad.
I mean, I wouldn't want to read either if all I read growing up was Dogman, sports biographies,
Right?
and the woke DEI books that shall not be named.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, what I love about this legislation is that it really aligns well with our classical approach to learning. So one of the things they cited in there was the idea that one of the published books had to be written prior to 1900. So we're talking about, again, something that's in the public domain that kids have been exposed to for eons, for decades, for centuries, as a classic piece of literature that teaches strong themes about character, about what's virtuous and righteous. So one of the other authors, or not authors, but one of the other citations they noted was from Rene Descartes, who said, and I love this quote, "The reading of all good books is like a conversation with the finest minds of past centuries." And when you think about the lineage of some of the greatest authors in American or even just world history, you know, the lessons that we glean from their outspokenness, their ability to put pen to paper and come up with novel ideas and novel perspectives on the reality of society, on the reality of life, on the reality of our purpose. That's where I think we really engage in that in-depth understanding of who we are as people. And that's the beauty, again, of a classical education.
That's well said.
Yeah, and unfortunately, too many students across the nation are not being exposed to this quality literature, and instead spending their hours doing who knows what. And quite frankly, the teachers now are basically done, and they are taking it to the internet to tell it like it is. What is it like being a teacher in the 2026 classroom?
Sometimes these kids, I don't understand how they ended up to this point. You know what I mean? Like, I teach 8th grade history, and I have 110-ish students. 2 of them are reading on grade level right now. 18 of them are at a kindergarten level. 55 of those students are between a 2nd and 4th grade level. That's a lot of them. And that's typical of what I've seen lately from students. But it's not just literacy. It's not just literacy, and it's not just like lack of content knowledge. It's not just critical thinking skills. It's basic thinking skills. My students can decode almost nothing. They cannot apply inference. They cannot process questions that are longer than a sentence. They cannot connect cause and effect. They can't track multi-step ideas like in a political cartoon. And it's scaring me a little. Like, I see it every single day. I had a kid yesterday, 4 kids actually. This happened in every class. We were doing guided notes, supposed to be a real easy day. It was review. They wrote down Maryland was founded as a safe haven for Catholics. It was on the board. They wrote it down. And before we moved on, I call on a student and I ask, hey, where were the Catholics one more time? And these students, what they do is they look at me, and then they look at their notes, and then they look at the board. They look back at their notes. And some of them never answered me.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Wow.
Well, again, I attribute this to that short attention span of the screen age generation. They're used to seeing video-based content. Many of them don't even take notes in class. So kudos to that teacher for actually requiring the kids to take notes in class. But they can't make the connection, as she stated. They'll have it written in front of them, but they can't even read to comprehend what that means to respond to a question because they're so, in their brains. They have brain rot. And it's unbelievable to me that we here at Freedom Project Academy have this motto that we teach students how to think, not what to think. But this generation of kids don't even know how to begin thinking about something critical, let alone just thinking in general, basic thinking. comprehension, being able to respond to a question with some sort of sense, right? So I'll never forget, this reminded me of a time I had a kid in my speech class where kids become so disassociated with what they're doing, or apathetic perhaps. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into this, right? But I had a kid in my speech class. For his final exam, they had to deliver a formal address to the class. They had to write it themselves and deliver it, right? I gave them a sample as a model to follow in construction. The kid literally took my sample speech, went up in front of the class, delivered it. And afterward, I just sat there like, excuse me? And I talked to him privately after the class, and he's the one kid in all my years teaching who failed a class that I taught. The only one. I said to him after, I said, what were you thinking of just delivering the speech that I had gave you as a sample? He said, well, at least I thought I'd get the points for delivery.
How was his delivery?
Yeah,
Did he get
was he
good
better than
delivery?
you?
No.
Yes.
I mean, his delivery was as any typical teenager. But the idea that he thought he would at least score points by plagiarizing and using some
The
other
teacher's
speech, the teacher's speech, I thought, man, you really got some nerve.
Yeesh.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, you could tip your hat to him because he's at least going off of his own teacher.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the kids just go off of AI.
Oh,
and
yeah.
apparently
True.
now,
True.
I mean, that's kind of like a compliment to you. Like, he didn't just
Yeah.
take it to
Yeah.
a computer. Like,
Yeah.
you want a real human. But now AI is everywhere.
Yeah.
And apparently, there's some telltale signs of how to
boy.
how
You
to
think?
know if it's AI.
Uh-oh.
Let's delve into this.
Yeah.
Just a friendly reminder to all you students out there who are submitting your final papers and submissions for the semester. If you are using AI, make sure you're reading through the output before you just turn it in. If the word moreover shows up in your paper, there is a 99% chance that AI has written it. I've never heard a 20-year-old use the word moreover in their life, but I've seen the word moreover show up in a bunch of submissions this semester. So just a word of wise, read through it, make sure it sounds like yourself. Again, I love AI, but make sure you're using it to help you and aid you in your process of thinking and not replacing it.
Yeah, well.
Moreover, though,
I use Moreover.
So do I.
I can guarantee I can go back
So
and look
do
at one of
I.
my papers.
I will say though, writing
grad school,
and
but-
speaking are very different.
Right. Yeah.
Right. If you look at my writing compared to my speaking, completely different. But because we grew up, in the 1990s and were taught in that time frame, we were given that transitional words
There's
by your English
variety.
teacher.
We got a lot more
moreover,
variety.
Conjunctive
therefore,
adverbs.
Yeah.
furthermore, right? So we actually could
addition.
use
Yeah.
those and would have to use those. Now, obviously,
can't.
it is an AI thing. I've read plenty of AI papers. So here are some questions you should ask yourself
Okay.
when submitting a paper. Are there perfect dashes between words in your paper? It might be AI. Are your syllables per word averaging over 5? Your paper might be AI. Does your Flesch Kincaid readability calculator say you write at a master's level? Your paper might be AI. So those are some tips for those listening as to
take a look
that
at.
might
Yeah.
be an AI paper.
Well, and also like how they talk. Like Harper, you've had some good examples. You said brain rot, right? What was it? Screenagers.
Yeah.
You know, those trending young words that the young folks use instead of moreover.
If they actually write brain rot, that's not AI.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
will say in formal writing, like you alluded to, you're going to use much more formal language and tone, like consequently with your semicolon and comma, which it's my favorite part of a sentence construction is adding those conjunctive adverbs where you have the semicolon followed by the comma. It's so empowering because you can add, you can subtract, you can create contrast, you can add a time sequence, you can emphasize and clarify with those words so powerfully. Beautiful. Indeed,
Only-
certainly this is true.
Only Principal Harper could make punctuation exciting.
That's true.
Whew. That's
starting
talent.
off with
That's talent.
consequently, he probably got that off the page that his English teacher gave him way back in the day.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
very
see-
true.
I see how that went there. All right. Well, that's enough with the language, maybe. Maybe we go on to something that isn't so wordy and go to some numbers. Go to
boy.
math.
Oh,
Math
Love
nerds
numbers.
instead.
Think math is any better? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. We do have some super smart, like a super smart math kid.
Yeah.
To take a
Like
look at them.
crazy smart.
Hey, sir. Another numbers round. You ready for it? Shall we smash it? 6 small. And they are.
So basically, this is some game show, and they're given 6 separate numbers, and then a total.
And we need
And they have to take those 6 numbers
714.
and put them into a formula.
Oh, and they can add,
To
subtract.
equal,
Oh,
yes.
so he's got to go
Multiply or
like
divide?
8 times 10 or something
Yeah.
like that, and then times another number.
Have you got it? Come on then.
5 plus 4 is 9.
Yes.
9 times 8 is 72.
Yes.
72 times 10 is 720.
Yes.
3 times 2 is 6.
It is.
721 is 6 is 714.
Hey, sir. Clap those
That's
hands,
some
buddy.
It was
Wow,
like
that
7
amazing.
seconds. Like
So you see
from
what
him
he did?
saying like
Come on then.
having the final number to him doing like I've got it.
I've got it.
So that involved multiple steps of subtraction, multiple steps of addition.
7 seconds.
That's crazy. Most
And
kids,
he's 4. He's 4.
Yeah, right?
4
yeah, I was
years
gonna say
old.
most kids probably in
Wow.
5th grade wouldn't be able to do that.
I had to watch
Fifth
it a
grade,
few
let's talk about
times
the high
just to figure out
schoolers.
what
Well,
he
that's-
was doing.
that's true. I
Yeah.
was-
Order
I
of
was framing it in
operations
terms of
are
our kids.
probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I did see in that video on his by the TV, he did have a couple little like stuffies, and they're from Number Blocks. So that kid is watching some Number Blocks on the YouTube, which my kids watch too, and it makes me feel like maybe my kids can be that smart too with their
Yay.
math.
Yeah.
But
Of course.
that's number 1 and number 2 of the Number Blocks. And
Lindsay,
then,
what
know.
if you walked out, you were the contestant on the show, and the person that you were going up against was little Asa here, a 4-year-old? I feel like I just turned around and walked off.
I might
be like,
just-
no, I'm not going up against that
I
kid.
wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would rather swim with sharks.
Yeah.
You'd
Get
rather
destroyed.
swim with the shark.
Yes, I would.
Well,
Be a
that,
bit
I would.
embarrassing.
It'd be less humiliating.
I'm forfeiting. I would actually love to see some of our FPA students try this, because I think they'd be pretty good at it.
well, then get on it and have them do it.
Maybe
We'll
we should
see.
Yeah.
follow up
Have
video,
them-
have some 6 small. Is that what they called it?
I don't even know.
I
Yeah,
think so.
6
Yeah,
small
6
numbers.
small.
6 small numbers.
6
Equal to
separate
the
numbers,
one
yeah,
big
and
one.
then the total. So
No.
Yeah.
interesting. All right. Well, speaking of Freedom Project Academy, Freedom Project Academy is stepping into our 16th year of enrollment,
Sweet
and
16.
we're celebrating by spotlighting the incredible teachers who make it all happen. And this week, we want to highlight Mrs. Diane Moyer, who is one of our outstanding math teachers. So this is just perfect. Here's a little sneak peek.
My name is Diane Moyer. I teach both pre-algebra and 8th grade introductory logic. I currently live in Northeast Arkansas. Repetition and modeling seem to be the best way to help students jump from I know how to do this to I understand why I do this. This is the hardest part with math, but I think it would be really awesome to travel to Europe, where so many mathematicians got their start because you could see how they developed things and studied the Fibonacci sequence, for example.
Oh,
It's a pattern of
I
numbers,
was like,
but
what?
anytime you look at a nautilus
Fibonacci what?
shell, the pattern in the rings, that follows the Fibonacci sequence. Do the work the day that it's assigned so that you have a chance to get help if you need it. If you have a question, ask the question and read the comments on graded homework. Struggle
What a
with this
concept.
question. I can't decide between something like Wonder Woman's lasso of truth, where everyone tells you the truth, or maybe more like Batman, where I have really cool tools and I can do
Tough
lots
choice.
of stuff. So I don't know,
Tough choice.
superpowers
That's tough.
aren't really my thing. I would travel to the future because I'm a Star Trek fan, and I would
she's
love to see if we
striking
really
as
do
a-
fly in space like that. That would be awesome. I were not a teacher. I would be my kid's mom and my husband's wife. That is still the most important part of who I am, and they share me so that I can do this too.
how awesome.
She's
so cool.
wonderful.
Yeah. You know what I loved her comment about how you go from knowing how to do something to knowing why you do something through repetition and modeling. That was very poignant. And then I also love the fact that she commented that ask the question. So many kids today, I think, and this is in part because they're in person in public schools, they are so intimidated or afraid to ask questions openly in front of their peers that they think, oh, I can't ask that. Nobody else is thinking that same question, when I guarantee you there's 6 other kids in the room who have the exact same question. And that's why we encourage our kids in our virtual classes to always be asking questions of the teacher. And they don't even have to do it audibly. They could type it in the chat. They could type a direct Q&A to the teacher. So we have really cool opportunities and tools to use that allow for them to ask those questions without feeling that intimidation in front of their peers. But I do have a quick trivia question for you. So what does "please excuse my dear Aunt Sally" have to do with math?
Parentheses, exponents.
Exponents, that's what it is.
Please excuse multiplication. Wait, please excuse
Addition.
my
I know it's
multiplication,
Fraction.
division,
Yes,
Please
addition,
Oh, dear.
subtraction.
exactly. PEMDAS.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
the acronym or the mnemonic device to remember the order of operations.
Yay!
Woo, you passed,
at
Lindsay.
that.
Good job, Lindsay.
Thanks,
It's
guys.
all about words and math today.
I love learning.
All right. Well, this year, Freedom Project Academy is being recognized by Education Insider as Christian School of the Year.
Cool,
So,
cool.
That's
if you'd
awesome.
like to see
Yes,
what
sir.
makes FPA stand out, visit freedomforschool.com and explore our live, anytime, and homeschool courses. Well, that's going to wrap up this show. If you do enjoy the show, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow the podcast on Apple and Spotify. You can find all of the links at classdismissed.tv. We will be back next Tuesday with another great conversation. For Dave, Jim, Lindsay, and myself, have a great week. Check out FPA. And until next time, class dismissed.